Now, how do I get this dratted thing turned on?
Alright, PC Piss Pants, what's occurring?
Go away, Constance. I'm trying to get my equipment working.
I hope you're not expecting me to give you a hand.
What's going on in here?
He's indulging himself again.
Oh, sir, that's the third time today. The people at the laundry are already getting suspicious about all the socks we send them. And that reminds me, you've got an optician's appointment in the morning.
Yeah, well, you gave me this wax cylinder recording device, Luke. I'm putting it to good use.
A wax what?
Yeah, this contraption, it records sound. I'm dictating.
Have you no shame, Inspector?
I'm recording the details of my old case files onto it, documenting my career as a detective.
Well, I can sum that up in 2 words. Fuck up.
Yeah. Never mind that. Right, look, just leave it to me, both of you, all right?
Right you are, sir.
Have fun blowing your own horn.
I'm not! Oh, forget it. Although, it has been a long week. No. On with the recording. Yes, now. My name is Inspector Murder, and these recordings constitute the case files of my long and distinguished... my long and varied career as a detective in Scotland Yard, prior to my early retirement, wherein I now run a consulting detective agency. It is my hope in the years to come there will be a valuable historical record, or at the very least the basis of a cheap comedy routine.
Unbound Productions presents Inspector Murder Inspects by Dario Knight, Gareth Johnson and Matthew Doherty. Episode 5, A Cold Case. Some years later.
Oh, it bit me!
Look, try and hold its legs. We need to get it from getting away.
It's too big, I can't get anywhere near it.
Somebody net it one!
Look, what happened to the tranquilizer dart?
Constance took it.
Oh, I didn't know you were dating again, Constance.
I'm not. I was at a dance tournament at 9 a.m. and I needed a first pepper.
She threw it at the landlord, then she drank the bar dry.
But I didn't see you trying to stop me.
That's because you were blind drunk.
It's headed for the door!
Oh, Christ, it's been left wide open. Who was the last one in?
My fault, sorry.
There it goes.
Right. Oh, quick! We need to catch it. We can't have an ostrich running around the streets of London at night.
I think it might get picked up by a short-sighted sailor.
It'll be long gone by now, sir. Shall I inform London Zoo?
No, they're still upset with us about that hippo incident.
Oh, yes. Poor Tiny Tim didn't stand a chance. Still, he'll be forever stamped onto our hearts.
Not to mention being stamped onto that hippo's ass cheeks.
Yeah. Right. Now, we need a plan. Oh, right. Laura, you go with Constance.
Oh, no, I'm not digging you out of a hole this time.
Right, then Luke and I... what do you mean?
Every time you bugger up something, we have to bail you out.
What rubbish?
Really? I seem to recall it was me who found Lady Carrington's missing tiara.
Oh, well, that's hardly fair. I mean, it was on her head the entire time.
And it was her that apprehended Freddie Beresford's stalker when you were busy falling out of a moving train.
And you were busy coked up to your eyeballs!
It was Luke who found the missing cows you thought were people.
And Constance rumbled that fake case you fell for that emptied our bank account.
So now we're poorer than a church mouse with a crack habit. The bank are about to turf us out of the agency, and you've let a pissed-off ostrich loose in London.
Look, I keep telling you, that ostrich was definitely up to something. Yeah. Reverend Golightly's prayer mats have been stolen and, well, that bird could...
It was the altar boys, you flaming twit!
It is fairly obvious, sir. They nicked the mats and then sold them.
That's why they've got more jewellery than a pimp at the H. Samuel January sale.
Well, I suppose that does make better sense.
So, if you want to find that ostrich, if you want to spend all night searching London for it, if you want to go herring off on another ridiculous chase that's only going to end up in some catastrophically idiotic balls up, do it yourself.
Very well. If that's how you all feel. I thought perhaps I could rely on my colleagues to lend a hand when things go a little bit awry. I thought you might overlook my occasional mistake. I thought you'd find a glimmer of kinship as we work together to help make the world that little bit more fair and just and right. It appears I was wrong. I shall be on my way.
Look at the state of this office. Feathers and bird shit everywhere. Again.
Oh, that ostrich knocked over the poker table. I was winning as well.
Only you could think of playing poker when we're staring bankruptcy in the face.
It was only strip poker.
It's just a shame the inspector didn't put his clothes back on before he went outside, really.
Now the rabbit ostrich is being hunted by the last turkey in the shop.
How on earth did they ever let him into Scotland Yard in the first place?
Why don't you ask the little science fella over there?
Hey, my name's Luc. Constance.
Him and Detective Dunce worked together on the force.
You were in the police, Luke?
Oh, yes, I worked in the morgue, investigating the varying effects rigor mortis had on the corpse.
Sounds interesting.
To be honest, it bored me stiff. Things livened up when I met the inspector, though.
What happened?
Well, the case file should be around here somewhere. The inspector keeps all his old records in these boxes. Ah, there we are. The mystery of the butchered butcher. There's a wax cylinder recording, too. Oh, sounds like the inspector's found some company. Shouldn't we at least take him some underpants?
You do what you like. I want to hear the recording.
Right. Case file 306. The mystery of the butchered butcher. During the summer of 1885, various dismembered body parts were discovered outside police stations around London. We found a pair of ears in Ealing, 2 hands in Hammersmith, legs in Lambeth. I needn't mention what we found in Cockfosters. Had he not been off his head on cocaine at the time, the yard would have called for Rome's. Yeah, but as it was, he was dressed in a poncho, chasing a rainbow bunny up and down Baker Street. So the case landed in my lap. Now, thanks to the scientific skill of my new recruit by the name of Luc Vercluse, we were able to ascertain that the body parts all belonged to a butcher named Herbivore, who had disappeared 3 days previously after falling out with his assistant, 4D Chop. Luc's forensic evidence pointed to Chop being the murderer, but when we tried to look him up, we found no record he had ever existed. He was a fraud. The case remains unresolved.
Blimey, gruesome stuff.
You ain't all half a load of rubbish in these boxes.
They're all mementos from the inspector's Scotland Yard days.
What's this?
Ah, that's the case of the Islington bomber.
Yes, but what is it?
It's a bomb!
What?
We found it in the cellar of an alehouse. The inspector always meant to hand it in as evidence, but what with one thing and another, we must have forgotten.
Oh, I can't believe he's left a bomb in here.
It doesn't look like it's prime, Laura. The activation lever hasn't been pressed.
What, this one?
Constance!
Luke, switch the lever back on.
It can't be deactivated that easily. We need to remove the charge.
Oh, there's no time for that. Give it here. I'll sort it out.
Constance, I don't think that's how you...
Constance!
It's out the window.
We can't. We'll endanger the public.
Bugger the public. What have they ever done for us?
Actually, she makes a good point.
Luke!
Oh, thank goodness for that, it was a fake. Oh well, the incident bomber was innocent after all.
Should we inform Scotland Yard?
Bit late for that, love. We hanged him 6 years ago.
Looks like there's another page of the butcher report.
Let's have a look. From the desk of Inspector Murder for the attention of Chief of Police, I wish to commend most highly the new scientific advisor allotted to this case, a man named Luc for Clues, who is currently assigned to the department run by Dr. Ed Evidence. His sterling work has proved him to be a valuable asset to the force. I should like to request that he be transferred to my department post-haste.
Oh, I never knew he'd done that.
So if you were such a hot shot, how come you ended up in this shithole with him when he acquired?
I suppose I just couldn't face not working with him. For all his faults, he was always a good boss. We had some brilliant times working together.
What about you, Constance? How did you meet the inspector?
That was when his nibs was looking into some business about a murder in a bakery across the road from that hairdressing salon where I used to work.
You were a hairdresser.
Was.
Why did you leave?
Mutual agreement.
She used to shave rude words onto the customers' heads. She was rumbled by an estate agent who wondered why people kept laughing at him every time his back was turned. Turns out, when he visited Constance the previous week and asked for a short back and sides, she'd taken a razor and scratched the word twat on the back of his head.
Oh, there's a wax cylinder recording of the case notes.
Case file 357. The mystery of the battered baker. On the 23rd of February 1889, I was called to the Barker, Barber and Burke bakery on Bartholomew Street in Bromley. Barry Barker, who co-owned the bakery with Brian Barber and Bertie Burke, had been battered on the back of the bonds with a baseball bat while baking a batch of Battenberg biscuits and brioche in the back room of the bakery amongst the bread, buns and bats. The battered body was found by the cleaner, Bradley Burton. Now, we interviewed Burton, Barber and Burke. Burton was befuddled to have beheld the back body. Burke was on a business trip in Berkshire at the time, whilst Barber had been in his bungalow in Bermondsey. Burke and Barber's bond with Barker was brusque. Barker had big ambitions of building the business, but Barber and Burke believed it was a blunder and begrudged Barber, begging the bank to borrow big bucks. It bore out. Barker, Barber and Burke were nearly bankrupt.
Looks like that's the end of the recording.
So who bludgeoned the murderer?
Well, the post-mortem told us the murder must have occurred early in the morning. The inspector eliminated the other two bankers from the inquiry when he realised that even with Barker dead, they'd still inherit his debts. That left...
The cleaner.
Spot on. Burton would lose his job if Barker sank the business. He must have sneaked in that morning, killed Barker, cleaned up the evidence, then alerted the police, pretending that he'd found the body.
The sneaky bugger! How did you catch him?
We didn't. There was a manhunt to catch Burton, but we were never able to locate him. He got away with it.
Oh. Still, Constance, how did you end up as inspector's housekeeper if he met you when you were a hairdresser?
When the salon kicked me out, he offered me a job.
But how did he know you'd been fired?
Search me. He just turned up out of the blue.
He'd seen you at the Dole office when he was out on a case. He came into the agency one morning and announced that he'd finally found us a housekeeper, which was peculiar because I didn't know we'd been looking for one.
That's so sweet, and you give him so much grief. Constance, you should be ashamed.
Well, you would have been casting aspersions on why you got let into Scotland Yard.
Yes, I was.
Oh, here's another cylinder. No notes on this one, just a label. Christmas party destroy at earliest opportunity.
I think maybe I should look after that one.
But let's hear what's on it first.
Wouldn't you rather go through more of PC Pillock's cases?
Come on, let's give it a whirl.
Who wants tea?
We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Oh, hello, Constance.
Hello, Inspector.
Feeling a little worse for wear?
Oh no, on the contrary. I feel quite enlivened.
Would you mind not rubbing yourself against the door frame? I've just had it waxed.
Very well. Allow me to move a little closer.
Actually, Constance, I think that might be a little too close. Oh my God, George! Your breath could strip mine! How many have you had?
Not my share, but not my fill.
Constance, I feel I should warn you. There's a gun in the desk drawer.
Oh, look, Inspector Mistletoe. Fancy honouring an English tradition?
Help!
Oh, thank Christ for that!
Talk about a welcome in the valleys. Pity nobody tried to stop you.
Poor Inspector.
The one thing I always wondered was how we ended up leaving the police force in the first place.
Ah, that was Operation Candlestick. He always refused to talk about that one. I was away when that case occurred.
Hold on. Ivor the butcher, Barker the baker, and then a candlestick.
Ah, here's the recording. That's interesting. The case file was never formally submitted.
Come on, play it.
Oh, the recorder broke.
Well, I guess that's the end of that.
Inspector Murder Inspects, A Cold Case was written by...
Wait, we've still got the notes to read.
Oh, yeah.
18th of March, 1890. The Candlestick Murder. Now, for some years, I had feared that a serial killer was at work in London. My suspicions were first roused when we failed to apprehend the culprits of the butchered butcher and battered baker cases. It transpired that Ford E. Chop and Bradley Burton were, in fact, aliases for a criminal known as...
Name redacted.
Who had, we learned, been inveigling his way into the criminal underworld. Moreover, we discovered that he had a taste for the macabre. He suffered a childhood trauma whereby his nanny, a former actress, would force him to sit and listen to her recite nursery rhymes and beat him if he didn't applaud loudly enough. Subsequently,
Name redacted.
set about carrying out murders and other nefarious schemes themed around nursery rhymes. As a young man, he was found to have blinded 3 mice and cut off their tails. He also glued a fiddle to the paws of a cat before attempting to launch a cow over the moon by firing it out of a cannon. So, when we failed to apprehend the murderers of a butcher and a baker, I realised the candlestick maker was sure to follow. I tried to trace.
Name redacted.
However, I was unable to. We logged the name
Redacted.
with international law enforcers and discovered that
Name redacted.
it was wanted on every continent for criminal activity too depraved to mention. My first instinct was to track down all the candlestick makers in London and place them under police protection. Well, as it happens, there was only one such man in the city, a man named Bernie Wick.
That's the last page.
I wonder what happened.
Still, at least we all know about
Name redacted.
now.
I'd always suspected he might have been involved in the inspector's early career, but this confirms it.
Never mind that. What happened to Bernie Wick? Why would the pages be missing?
You know what I think?
Only the devil knows that, Constance.
If it was the inspector's last case at Scotland Yard, it must have been spectacular. Here's what I reckon happened. He tracks down Bernie Wick, but
Name redacted.
was already there, ready to kill the candlestick maker by shoving a length of string up his arse and setting light to it. Constable Crudbucket runs in, punches
Name redacted.
right in the face, and they break out into a fight, tumbling onto the street, crashing into a handily placed pile of cardboard boxes and throwing each other through shop windows. Inspector Arsbrain knocks him out, then runs back into the candlestick maker's shop just as the wick's about to burn into his bum
Name redacted.
Mistakes to come up with another mad scheme.
Nonsense.
Oh yeah, what do you think happened?
I reckon the entire nursery rhyme thing was a ploy by...
Name
to
redacted.
lure the inspector to the candlesticks maker, who was really one of
Name redacted.
his agents. When the inspector went to the shop, Bernie Wick attacked him, but the inspector turned the tables and managed to force him to reveal where
Name redacted.
it was located. The inspector tracked him down and confronted him, only to find that
Name redacted.
had kidnapped the Queen.
Oh, come off it.
The inspector managed to save Her Majesty by hiding underneath her skirts, then jumping out and shooting
Name redacted.
in the neck with a tranquilizer dart. He had to choose between taking the Queen to safety or arresting.
Name redacted.
He saved the Queen and
Name redacted.
escaped before we could go back for him. The inspector was paid off by the government to cover up the breach of royal security and set up his own business.
Solving mind-bending mysteries like where the neighbour's cat disappeared to.
You tried to pin that one on me.
We never did find out where you got that catskin handbag from.
All right, Miss Know-it-all, what do you think happened?
If the inspector knew who the likely target was, he would have wanted to protect him, to place him under police guard.
Indeed, I did.
Inspector!
Yeah.
Did you find that ostrich?
Yeah, sadly not. It gave me the slip on the embankment. Well, quite literally, I slid on one of its tail feathers and went arse over tit into the Thames.
What's that under your arm?
It's my armpit, Laura.
I mean, the parcel you're carrying.
A suspicious looking package if ever I saw one.
Speaking of which, Inspector, would you mind putting some clothes on?
Yes, so I'd quite forgotten about that.
Here's your dressing gown.
Oh, thank you, Laura. The parcel is for you, Luke.
Oh, yes, it's arrived at last.
What is it?
It's my latest invention, back from the patent office. It's a clockwork hammer. Helps complete simple household tasks in half the time. Simply wind it up, and away it goes. It's very effective, Inspector.
Let's have a look.
I'm sorry, Constance. This is delicate machinery, and you...
Oh, shut up and give it here. Ooh, it's powerful, isn't it? What does this even do?
No, don't touch that. It increases the intensity. You silly bit, you've dropped it.
Oh, Constance! Stop it before it destroys the office!
Careful, Inspector, it's heading for your...
All right, Tommy.
Luke, turn it off!
Wait! Winding down, it's wound down, it's all okay.
No, it bloody ain't!
Sorry about that, Inspector.
Oh, that looks nasty.
Speak for yourself.
That'll cause all sorts of problems.
Oh, sit down, Inspector. Take the weight off it.
Thank you, Laura. I don't think it's done any damage except my dignity.
Lucky thing it missed the big one, really.
At least it only hit your toe, Inspector. Imagine if it had whacked you in the...
Doorknob! The hammer's taken the doorknob clean off.
I can fix that. I'll fetch my toolkit.
I'll give you a hand.
Before that, Inspector, I just wanted to say sorry about earlier. We really should have helped you catch that ostrich.
Yeah. It's not your fault you're such a fuckwit.
Oh, we're glad to have you back.
Oh, what's gone into them?
We read through a few of your old case files. I suppose it got us all thinking. We never really thank you.
Oh, what for?
For employing us, for keeping a roof over our heads, for looking after us. Constance would be on the dole if you hadn't taken her in. Luke would still be in the morgue, and I'd still be in the workhouse. What would we ever have been without you?
Oh, it's my honour, Laura. So, which cases were you reading? Oh, Operation Candlestick.
Your last case at Scotland Yard. What happened?
Oh, I've not talked about it for years. But I suppose it's history now. Well, at the time, he was known as the Rubber Dub Killer. Yeah, first the butcher, then the baker. When we found Bernie Wick, the candlestick maker, we were just in time. Someone had attempted to burn down his shop.
He survived.
Yeah, well, what with all the candles, it took ages to burn down. Yeah, but we placed him under police protection. I oversaw it personally. Stayed with him around the clock until...
Until what?
The latest copy of The Strand had gone on sale. In those days, I was quite a fan of Holmes's stories. Never missed an issue. There was a vendor on the corner of the street where the safe house was located. Wick was asleep. I'd woken early, half a minute there, half a minute back. Nobody would have known.
Oh, Inspector,
The killer must have been waiting at the back door. Broke in as soon as I left and...
Murdered him?
Well, stuck a length of string up his arse and set fire to it. More of a fuse than a wick. Didn't stand a chance.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was struck off for negligence, but they let me operate as a private detective to earn a living, and the rubber-dub killer got away.
We saw his name in your report.
Oh, the one and only travesty of justice. My nemesis. And now, as I lie here in the doldrums, tackling cases that aren't cases, he still taunts me at every given opportunity.
You'll get him one day, Inspector. I'll tell you what, I'm starving. Fancy something from the fish and chip shop?
Oh, go on then, I'll have cod and chips.
All right, I'll be back soon.
I'll let in some fresh air. London, what times we've seen. This city and me. Rubber-dub-dub, 3 men in a tub. And who do you think were there? A butcher, a baker and a candlestick maker. And all of them bound for the fair. I'll avenge all 3 of them one day. I'm coming for you, travesty of justice. I'll catch you in the end.
No, you won't.
What? Travers? Is that you? Oh, I can't see you through the fog, you bastard! How dare you taunt me from my own doorstep? I'll dash your brains out! Oh, no! The doorknob got knocked off! I can't open the door! Laura! Laura, why didn't you just leave it open? Laura!
Till next time, Inspector.
Oh, bugger.
Inspector Murder Inspects, A Cold Case was written by Dario Knight, Gareth Johnson and Matthew Doherty. It starred Alistair Sanderson as the Inspector, Emily Pugh as Law and Order, Matthew Doherty as Luc for Clues, and Joe Pratt as Constant Surveillance, with Brian Murray as Travers. The producer was Dario Knight for Unbound Productions.